It's a bit of a heart stopper when you actually do it for the first time.
I was just saying, you made it sound easy.
But you can use it whenever you want. We've got plenty of paper. Just go in there and have.
It's hard to see the sale numbers quite often from OOD box, even a pair of binoculars. So quite often, because we know who's out there, you might just have to write green taser, blue taser, or Jeremy, and just whatever you can get on there for identification against the times.
You can definitely write whatever you want on there. As I put on the third point there, it's a good idea to keep that sheet afterwards, put it on the results. There have been a load of times when results have been filled in and then we've gone back through the sheet and gone, well, okay. But so long as you're pressing the button at the right time, then we've got the opportunity later on to ask people, were you ahead of them or behind them, and all this sort of stuff. And remembering to press the green button to finish, the yellow button for laps. Yep.
I have a problem deciding when to finish.
Yeah.
Passing the mark.
No, it's.
Finish the race.
It's a kind of a controversial subject, I think. Lots of people feel different things about it. When I used to sail quite a fast boat here, I was always a bit miffed when it seemed that we had to do an extra round on top of everyone. And usually if we'd had tight reaches, we were already knackered. And we'd only been racing for 30 minutes, but we were more than happy to come in. What I would generally say is the more people that you can get to finish the race, so if you can see that the fast handicap boats are probably likely to finish all on the same lap and the slow handicaps are going to be a lap behind, then that's the sort of perfect thing to aim for. The more that it gets changed around, where you've got, like when I was in the B14, I may be doing 6 laps and the rest of the fast fleet will be doing 5 laps, and then you've got some of the slow fleet doing 2 laps or 4 laps and things like that, then the way we do the handicapping does work out, but there's always a lot more question in people's minds. I think the ultimate thing is you've got to think about how can I try and get everybody in off the water in as big a pile as possible. So because the more people who are on the beach, then the easier it becomes. You also haven't got people hanging around on the beach waiting for the rescue boat to come up. So that's the ideal thing, is right, if we finish here, then the next boat is quite a long way around already. So they're all going to try and finish as many boats together as you can. It's not always, it's very, very difficult. Sorry?
All sailing in the same wind, not coming in a higher.
Yeah, that's the other issue as well. Quite often on a Wednesday night, we'd go off for another lap, knowing the wind was going to die. And we'd sit there, yes, and even more knackered. But it's the other thing. Like, I'll reiterate this again. We need to record that first section. So if it's a complete lap, it's not too important how accurate you are on it. Obviously you want your finish times accurate, but the first 2 legs, let's say, need to be accurate, because we take that time off. We then do the handicap on the rest of the race and then add that time back in. It's a little bit difficult to explain that bit, but it is vitally important that the first round gets done. Any other questions?
Can you shorten course?
Yeah. Currently what we do is we don't have a maximum number of laps. So we kind of decide, well, we're going to do 40 minutes or an hour, something like that. And then you look at the fleet and you think, how can I get the closest to 40 minutes for the whole fleet? So you see how they're spread out. And if you see a gap, you go, yeah, that will do. But then bear in mind that if you've got a particularly slow boat, say you've got a Pico or something like that, and they're crossing the line just after you've decided to finish the race, then you're going to have a long wait for them to come round. Whereas if it's a fast boat like a 400 or something like that, then it could be, well, we could let those few through. They'll be back by the time the last boat is finished. So it is very, very difficult.
So whose decision would that be? For somebody on the rib or somebody in the box?
It should generally be somebody in the box. But I would definitely talk with the people in the rib as well.
Yeah.
They've got a pretty good image of what's going on, or an idea of what's going on.
They probably have a lot of, more knowing what's going on out there than just sitting somewhere.
Ultimately, it should be the person in a race box, in my opinion. So, but the more you talk, then the more hopefully you can come up with a decent idea. But I think a lot of people kind of look at it and go, oh, that's the first fast fleet boat, must finish that one, and then irrespective of what's happening in the background. I think, and some people in the slower boats, they do get upset that they get finished what they consider early. But I think the overruling thing always should be, how can we get the maximum number of boats coming into the beach at the same time? And it's difficult to predict. There's no easy answer to it.
You try to keep the race time though to about 45 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
That's as a rule, rather than, but it doesn't have to be strictly 45
No,
minutes, depending on whether you're back to back.
Yeah. And like I say, if you've got something like the Dart, and he is way ahead, and he's only going to get 3 laps in. He's only going to get a 30-minute race. But the last boat will then end up doing a 40-minute race instead of potentially an hour race if you let them through. So, like I say, there is no easy formula to it. And people do make mistakes and people get miffed about it, but that's all part of it, isn't it?
But if that's what you're aiming for, is 45 minutes really, something like that, then before. You've done the box before.
And I think that's also what you're expecting when you're sailing.
Yeah.
45 minutes, is that, I only one more point, is that on a back-to-back racing as well? So every race?
There's no hard and fast rule for it. If it's icy cold and it looks like you can clear everyone up and finish them in 30 minutes, then whereas another round is going to risk it being 45 an hour for the slower boats, then I would say.
You can always radio the safety boat for a second opinion.
Yeah. The more people who are happy with it, then in theory the better. But there'll always be somebody who'll feel hard done by it. And that's this week. Next week it will benefit them. So it's
Paddy, is there any reason why we call an officer of the OOD the officer of the day in here, rather than the guy who's running the safety boat?
Yeah, I think it's because it's supposed to be a cooler head out here. Plus, if the rescue boat's busy doing something, then they can't see what's going on. And the person who's running the race can see where everybody is. They can quickly look through the race sheet to see what's going on. Oh, that's something I didn't mention. So when you're filling out the form and writing the names down, at the same time, when you get time, you should be filling out the actual race sheet. So don't wait until the end. The reason for that is you'll be able to see what lap everybody's on. In theory, fast fleet, slow fleet should all have similar numbers of laps. So that when you're writing it down, that is just a note for you to know when you're filling in the race form.
That's why it's good to have 2.
Yeah. You should ideally always have 2 in a box. Even if you're experienced, when things go wrong, then it suddenly becomes very, very difficult. So I say, so long as you press that finish button when people are crossing the line, a lot of things can be sorted out later on, but it is nice to get it right. So, as it stands, all those results then go into Sailwave. We decided a long time ago that restrict is probably the wrong word, but there aren't too many people who use Sailwave. The chances of cocking it up are quite high. And the problem there is that you'd mess up a complete series of results as well. So, but so long as the sheet's been filled out right, then it doesn't take long for someone else to come in and do the results. Okay. Do we all understand handicapping and how it works? Do we? I have a little spreadsheet which we can do a little demonstration on, but it's spreadsheets. It's slightly more boring than PowerPoint. We'll give it a go anyway. All right, so there's the Portsmouth yardstick, which people such as Ken decide each year on what your handicap are. It's based on 1,000. So if you had a handicap of 1,000, whatever your finish time is would be, so your actual finish time would also be your handicap finish time. If it's less than that, you get time added on. If it's over 1,000, you get time taken off. So what I've done up there, you got boats 1, 2, 3. One's on 950, 1,000, 1050. They all race for an hour. So you convert it to seconds. There's 3,600 seconds for everyone. Everybody finished across the line at the same time. And then you have the corrected time based on the handicaps. So you can see boat 1 had 3 minutes, 9 seconds added on. Whereas boat 3 had some time taken off, 2 minutes, 20 seconds. There's a lot of arguments about, oh, my handicap's gone up by 4. So if I change this one here to so a change of 4 would make a 15-second difference. And a lot of people get quite excited about that. So it's, yeah, that's a couple of duff tacks. That was the main sort of reason for going through this, because people do get terribly excited about their handicaps. But in 1 hour, a couple of fluffed up tacks, yeah, that's what your 4's worth. I think the Kestrel has changed quite a bit though, before, isn't it?
Yeah, it's gone both ways
Yeah.
for a number of years, yeah.
I think we're static this year.
You are static this year. We had an argument about it and decided not to move it.
As long as you're static on the water.
Well, is 120?
130 something.
No, what was its lowest?
Oh, it did go down to nearly as quick as the taser briefly. It's mostly their fault.
Well, if we say 120 to 10:30, so a change of 10, you still, it's less than 30 seconds. So again, that's quite a big change. So again, it's not a huge change in reality. So it's more to try and stop a lot of people complaining about how much their handicaps changed.
We should never have gone to 4-digit handicaps.
No.
It was a mistake because it exaggerates the.
Yeah.
People think the number is bigger than it really is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But very often the race results within 1 or 2 seconds.
Yeah, the actual end result.
Yeah.
But then you still got to include those 15 seconds. So a couple of duff tacks, they wouldn't have been within 2 seconds.
No, the one saying the final results is very often.
Yeah. But that's only because of doing everything. It's a product of how your race was.
Yeah.
It's still, if you'd messed up a couple of tacks, you would still be 20, 30 seconds behind, easily, which would be more than the change of your handicap.
Yeah.
But if the final result, what I'm saying is if it hadn't been that change, that second might have made the difference.
In that one race. In that one race. I think if you go back over the year, yeah, there's always the odd race where you think, oh, my handicap hasn't been changed. But what about the 15 others? So
30 seconds on the on the final downwind leg can be quite a long distance. That's the
yeah.
If you're doing 10 knots downwind and you're 15 seconds, so you're travelling 5 metres per second, so you can go away 75 metres.
But this is assuming both parties, so in the two boats, are sailing absolutely perfectly, have not made any mistakes. Yeah, I think then there's an argument for the handicap. But we all know that never happens. Apart from Jeremy, of course. Okay. I think that's about it, unless anybody has any other questions. Oh, yes? No. Now, obviously, if you're in the race box, you are the eyes for everyone out there. The rescue boat quite often won't see people who have gone in and things like that. So just bring it to their attention. So it's, and don't be afraid to pick up the radio and ask what's going on. And get on the binoculars and see what state they're in. So that would override anything about pressing the button to get someone across the line. So, yeah. Right, if there's no more questions, back to the beer. Thank you.